what type of arrhythmia could you see on this ECG? So basically it is a premature atrial complex is what you can see on the ECG. If you look at the QRS complex and the preceding P wave, the morphology of the P wave is an important indication of and the timing when it has happened is an important indication of the prematurity. So what happened because of this premature atrial complex to the QRS complex over here? The QRS complex developed R and a notch SR pattern. So whenever the R wave become very prominent, normally do you see such a prominent R wave in lead V1? No, don't worry, I'll tell you. Simple ways to remember. Don't go too complex on ECG. Give me the board. This is the heart, doctor. This side you have V1 on the right side. V2, V3. You have got V2, V3, V4, V5, V4, V5, V2, V3, V6. By the time you go to the V6, it is a left-sided one. Okay. So how will the cardiac activity mean electrical axis will be passing towards from the right side towards left side. That's the reason whenever electrical activity passes towards a lead, it leads to a positive wave which is called R. Whenever the electrical activity leaves a lead, it leads to a negative wave which is called SR, Q, either way. So normally, is electrical activity leaving V1 or leaving V6? Leaving V1. So in a lead V1, what is QRS expected to be? A negative QRS. At most there can be small R, then significant S. And what do you expect in lead V6? You expect QRS to be positive. But instead of a negative QRS in lead V1, what you are finding QRS complex as? How is the QRS complex here? Positive. Whenever QRS complex is positive, then that is called a abnormal QRS complex. Presence of a R wave in the lead V1 is considered to be abnormal. When will that happen? It happens whenever there is a posterior wall MI or right bundle branch block. It leads to a positive R wave in the lead V1. So this is a premature atrial complex, and from atrium when a premature complex arises, electrical activity, that will lead to right bundle to go into block. So right bundle branch block induced by a premature atrial complex is the ultimate diagnosis, is what you need to appreciate. So what type of arrhythmia is labeled in the arrows? Once more you are getting a QRS complex which is positive R wave in V1, which is abnormal. So this is also an example of a premature atrial complex. What type of an arrhythmia that you are seeing over here? Actually this is a repeat ECG that has been given. Now using the calipers, what type of pause do you like to call this as? Is it a compensatory pause or is it a pause which is not compensated? So how do you know compensatory pause or not? You have an abnormal QRS. This is a normal QRS, doctor. This is normal QRS, normal QRS, normal QRS. And what is this? Abnormal QRS. Such a abnormal QRS morphology is called ventricular premature complex. So you calculate the distance between the P wave before the premature ventricular complex and the P wave after the premature ventricular complex, and similarly you take a normal wave, QRS. You calculate the distance between the P wave before a normal one and the P wave which is present before the next normal one, right? And the distance you calculated before and after a normal QRS versus a VPC. If they both are same, then what is it called as? Fully compensated premature ventricular complex is the name which is being given for such a kind of incident, is what you need to remember. Now doctor, using the calipers, what type of pass you like to call it as? See, before this QRS you have a P wave. Then once more next to normal QRS you have a P wave. The distance between the two is called as PP distance. The same thing you do for a premature complex. The P wave before that and the P wave after that. If you calculate the distance between this P wave and this P wave, this distance is longer than before this normal P wave and the next normal, the next P wave after a normal QRS. So that is just basically called what? Less than compensated pause is the name which is being basically given. Now doctor, we invite Neelu, Annu, Shaurabh, students of Secunderabad, everywhere. Now doctor, what is the response that you can see on this ECG? So basically it is a case of atrial fibrillation with a sawtooth pattern is what you have to basically remember. Then what is seen in this ECG? Once more. So classically it is a case of once more an atrial fibrillation with if it is atrial fibrillation, where is the sawtooth pattern, you will ask, you should ask. Psychologically remove the QRS complexes in the middle and then join all these P waves, then it looks like a sawtooth. That's how you will identify, and this is called flutter with a 2:1 block basically. Then doctor, what is the correct interpretation of the ECG which you are able to see in this ECG? So what you are seeing here are the QRS complexes, right? And what is the heart rate here? How many large boxes are there? 3 large boxes between one QRS other QRS. That means what is the rate? 300 divided by, you don't know how to calculate heart rate. That is very important thing. You take 2 consecutive QRS complexes, between the two how many large boxes are there you take. 300 divided by the number of large boxes between 2 consecutive QRS complexes will give heart rate, one way. Second, if you take small boxes, each large box will have 5 small boxes. If you calculate the total number of small boxes between 2 QRS complexes, then what is the formula? 1500 divided by the number of small boxes between 2 QRS complex will give you the heart rate, is what you need to remember. So in this case, how is the QRS complex? Narrow or broad? Narrow. Is there any P wave before the QRS visible? No. So P wave is not there, but still QRS complex is narrow. That means where is the arrhythmia originating? Is the which arrhythmia do we have here? Tachycardia is what we have. Why? Because the heart rate is 100, right? So if you take the heart, you have an SA node, you have an AV node, and the Purkinje fibers basically will become right and left bundle. Okay. So if the arrhythmia arises from SA node, or if it arises from atria, or if it is arising from AV node, in all these scenarios, what is this arrhythmia called? Supraventricular tachycardia is the name which is being given. But if the arrhythmia arises directly in the ventricle, what do you call? Ventricular, simple, sing along. Ventricular tachycardia. Looking at ECG, how will you recognize? Whenever it originates from the ventricle directly, then the QRS complex will be typically broad QRS complex is what you will come across. Whenever it originates from either SA node or atrium or AV node, QRS complex will be typically narrow. Then how will you know whether it is originating from SA node or from AV node? Basically, if it is originating from AV node, right, QRS complex will be narrow and there will be no P wave. No P wave. Why? P wave is because of atrial electrical activity. So when it is originating directly from the AV node, you don't find the P wave. Possibility 1. Second possibility क्या है? It will originate from the AV node and AV node may give an electrical signal impulse into the atria. If the atrium receives electrical signals above down from the SA node to atrium, P wave will be upright. If it originates the signal from the AV node below to up, then the P wave will be inverted. So either you will have an inverted P wave or an absent P wave if it is originating from where? From AV node. So that is the reason it is called junctional tachycardia, where the P wave is absent is what you have to basically remember. What is this arrhythmia that you are seeing? Always when you see an arrhythmia, look at the QRS complex. QRS complex is wide. Unless proven otherwise, a wide QRS complex is called as ventricular tachycardia. First, is there tachycardia? What is the heart rate? Between two QRS complexes, what is the rate, doctor? 1.5 dibbe hai. 300 by 1.5 is how much? 300 by 1.5. Around 200. So 200 is the heart rate. QRS is wide. Hence it is the case of ventricular tachycardia is what you need to basically remember. Yeah, SS is saying still there is power problem, sir. Even if internet is there, the computer will not be on because of the electrical power. Yeah, there are solar energy, so many ways where natural resources can be used in order to generate power. Yeah, in some government hospitals there are occasions where people operated under candlelight. That is called India. 1 billion people we are. So that is the story, doctor. Ventricular tachycardia. Now look at this ECG. What is the conduction abnormality that you are able to basically see? Right? So typically it is a case of left bundle branch block. Okay. Now let's talk about RBBB, LBBB. How to basically recognize is a very, very important question. Is it fine? You want to take a break? You don't want a backup, no? Okay? Now, LBBB, RBBB, how will you recognize? Already you know, marrow, MARROW. What is marrow? If you take lead V1, we have a RSR. Are you giving focus? Is it visible for the online students? Clearly. RSR is looking like M. It is in lead V1. V1 is right side or left sided lead? Right sided lead. Then QRS. It looks like W in the V6, the left-sided lead. M-like pattern in V1, W-like pattern in V6, and narrow is a right bundle branch block. If you find this pattern. Reverse is what? William. W-I-L-L-I-A-M. Left bundle branch block, how is it recognized? Same. Q-R-S, if you find it in the lead V1, and R-S-R you are able to find in the lead V6, then that is basically called left bundle branch block is what you have to basically remember. So which type of block, doctor, this is? Typically in the V6 what you are finding? RSR or QRS? R positive, slight notch, and then one more upright R. RSR. RSR. S is negative. In the lead V6. Then what do you find in the lead V1? A W pattern where you have a Q R, actually QRS must be there, but here only QS is there. Even that is also treated to be QRS, like treated to be W. So that is the reason it is a case of left bundle branch block. And also look at the QRS duration. Whenever left bundle branch block happen, QRS duration increases to more than 0.12. Each small box is how much? Each large box is how much? Each small box is there, no? Is how much? Large box is how much? 0.04 seconds is small box. 5 small boxes is 1 large box. So 0.04 into 5 is 0.2. So 1 large box is equal to 0.2. Small box is equal to 0.04. So QRS duration more than how many small boxes? You call it as LBBB. If the QRS complex duration is more than 3 small boxes, that is an indication of left bundle branch block is what need to be remembered. So what is the conduction abnormality that you are having over here? So in this case you are having RSR pattern in the lead V1, and what do you have in lead V6? W. A small negative deflection Q, then R, then S. W pattern where do you have in lead V6? W means don't expect a proper W. That is also important. W means look like this. It will be like this. This is called as W pattern. A negative limb, positive limb, then negative limb. Okay, is called the W pattern is what you have to basically remember. Now doctor, look at this ECG. What is the conduction abnormality that you are having? This is a very peculiar ECG. If you look at this ECG, what do you find? First of all, axis. How is lead 1 QRS complex is looking up, and how is in the lead 3 QRS complex is looking down. You remember how to recognize left axis and right axis deviation? How is it recognized? How is the normal axis? How is the left axis? How is the right axis? Let us quickly look into it. Typically, if you take the hexaxial system of leads, you have one AVF which will be 90 degrees. You have one lead 1 which is basically lead 1 which is at 0 degrees. Lead 1 is by connecting right arm with the left arm. Then you have a wave passing like this. 2 waves passing like this. leads. So what is this lead? This is lead 2 and this is lead 3. Lead 2 comes by connecting right arm with left leg. Then lead 3 will come by connecting left arm with left leg, right? So that's how you have the lead 3 and lead 2. Now our mean electrical axis is passing in the direction of lead 2 normally. So that is the reason if you take the QRS complex in lead 1, it is in the direction of lead 1. That is the reason lead 1 will show positive QRS. And when it is passing like this, it is in the direction of even AVF, right? AVF or lead 2 or lead 3, everyone is going down. Even normal axis is going down. So that is the reason in the lead AVF also it will be typically positive. That is the normal nature of what? QRS complex. Now if there is a left axis deviation, instead of passing like this, if the electrical activity of the heart is passing like that, you call it as what? Left axis deviation. This is called as left axis deviation. If it got left axis deviated, in which part of the lead 1 it is? Lead 1 is going towards left, this is also going towards left. That's the reason lead 1 will show positive thing in the left axis deviation. But if you take this 2, 3 AVF which are inferior looking leads, this left axis deviation wave is going, leaving the inferior part and going up. That is the reason typically it will be negative in lead 2, lead 3 and AVF. If it is left axis deviation, this is normal. This one is normal, both up. Lead 1 up, lead 3 down, left axis deviation. When do you call right axis deviation? Electrical activity instead of going like this, if it is going like this, you call it as right axis deviation. If it is going like this, it is the lead 1 is going like this, but this is leaving the lead 1. Lead 1 is going like that. This is leaving the lead 1. That's the reason what will lead 1 will show in right axis deviation? Negative wave. But still when it is going right axis deviation like this, it is still going in the direction of 2, 3 AVF because they are also going down. And right axis deviation also going down. That is the reason it will be a positive wave in where? Lead 2, 3 AVF may, it will be typically positive. These 3 are all 2, 3 AVF. 2, 3 AVF, any of these leads may how they look like. And this is all what we are talking, how it looks like in lead 1. So to know the axis, what are the 2 leads you should look for? Look at lead 1, QRS positive or not. Look at lead 3, 2 or AVF, anything. All the 3 will be same in their nature. All of them are looking down. Summarize. Lead 1 up, lead 3 up, then normal. Lead 1 up, but lead 3 down, they left each other. Left axis deviation. Lead 1 down, but lead 3 up, they are right towards each other. Right axis deviation. That is what you have to basically remember. So next, doctor. So here you have a left axis deviation, but what else are you seeing? Typically in the 2, 3 AVF, look, let's go back to 2, 3 AVF. In 2, 3 AVF, it is showing a RS pattern, small positive R, then S pattern. Are you able to see? Small R up. S means negative. S is the negative wave that follows the positive R wave. So R wave small, S wave is negative. So you are finding RS complexes in leads 2, 3 AVF and lead 1 and AVL. Where is lead 1? Lead 1 and AVL. What do you see in the lead 1 and AVL? There is AVL, this is AVL. Before QRS, you are finding a small Q wave in the lead AVL. So if there is a small Q wave in the lead AVL and lead 1, what is the speciality of lead 1 and AVL? One is from right to left. How do you get AVL? If you combine right arm, left leg and take the, if you take the left arm and left leg and take the right arm and compare it with that, then it is also going towards the left. So there is a reason AVL and lead 1. These two are called lateral leads. In lateral leads, if you find a small Q wave before the R wave, then what is that combination called as? Lead 1 and AVL, if you find, you call it as a left anterior fascicular block. See, maximum examiner will ask you left bundle branch block. How do you recognize that? William. Right bundle branch block? Marrow. Worst situation may, he will ask you left anterior fascicular block, but never left posterior fascicular block. Left posterior fascicular block is unlikely to be asked because it is not that common. A very common bundle branch block which you find is LAFB, left anterior fascicular block. So that is basically recognized by the findings that we have just discussed. Then doctor, look at this ECG and tell what is the conduction abnormality. So fundamentally, what are you finding here? M pattern in the lead V1 and what do you have here? W pattern in the V6. M marrow. There is a reason. What is the answer? It is a case of right bundle branch block is what you have to recognize. Then what is the conduction abnormality that you see in this ECG? So there is a RSR pattern in the lead V1 which suggests it is a right bundle branch block. Okay. In addition to that, in the lead 1 and AVL, there is a small negative wave, that is the Q wave before R. There is a reason there is also a left anterior fascicular block together. So right bundle branch block plus left anterior fascicular block, the combination is what you are seeing. And one more thing, when you should suspect it is not simply right bundle branch block but left anterior fascicular block, the moment you see RSR pattern in the lead V1, you jump to conclusion that it is a right bundle branch block. But whenever right bundle branch block is there, what do you expect axis to be? Right axis deviation. Instead, what is the axis deviation here? QRS is up and in the lead 1 and lead 3 QRS is down. So they left each other. So you are finding left axis deviation. Then you should think, why right bundle branch block is having a left axis deviation? Is there any special reason for that? Then you should look for the lead 1 and AVL, whether there is any small Q wave before the R wave. If that is there, that signifies left anterior fascicular block. That's how you identify the bifascicular block. This is called bifascicular block. So what is the most common form of bifascicular block you get? Right bundle branch block with left anterior fascicular block is the most common type of bifascicular block, is what you have to basically recognize. How to differentiate VT, VF on ECG, sir? Oh, VT, VF on ECG, sir. Very good question, sir. I'll tell you. Very simple. एक ECG देख लिए तो आप डिफरेंशिएशन के बारे में पूछते ही नहीं. Ventricular fibrillation is a state of pulselessness and a chaotic pattern of QRS complex. So you will get something like this. If the ECG is showing, then what is that called as? Ventricular fibrillation. Suppose if it is ventricular tachycardia, you will find the QRS complexes, but they are broad. Okay, and sometimes you will find the diffuse ST segment depression also. And if you take one QRS, other QRS, the distance, it will be more than 100, the tachycardia, right? But QRS complexes will be there. And ST segment will show depression. So that's how you will identify VT. यहाँ कुछ भी नहीं रहता VF में. It will be a chaotic electrical activity. So that is the last final point the patient has reached. Unless you have jumped and did a cardioversion at that moment courageously, then he will survive. Right? So that is very important, doctor. Now what is the conduction abnormality that you are basically seeing in this case? So this is called SA nodal exit block is the name which is being given. See, you have a P wave, QRS, T wave. P wave, QRS, T wave. Then suddenly there is a pause. Following that, once more you have a P wave, QRS, T wave. P wave, QRS, T wave. That means at one point the SA node was thinking to do something else. Instead of its job to release the electrical activity. See what a creation of God. 70 times heart without a second thought. They will be thinking, oh, every day we have to do same routine studies, same routine cooking, same routine eating. Let's do something new is what we think. But SA node has no choice of thinking. So when you prepare for PG entrance, you should work like SA node, doctor, without pauses. Be sure. So now the question comes, there is an unexpected drop of the P wave that makes it SA exit. Then why don't you call sinus arrhythmia is the question. We cannot call sinus arrhythmia because if you take the distance between one P wave and the next P wave, after the drop also, they are maintaining the same distance. If they don't maintain, PP intervals are irregular, then you call sinus arrhythmia is what you have to basically remember. Why not Mobitz? Why not Mobitz type 2? Mobitz type 1 and Mobitz type 2, P wave will be there, QRS will be dropped. That is AV nodal block. So P wave will be there, but QRS will be dropped. Then you call it as heart block. Mobitz type 1 and type 2 depending upon it is suddenly dropped or slowly Wenckebach phenomena and then dropped. Then you call Mobitz type 1 block. If suddenly dropped, you call it as Mobitz type 2. But Mobitz type 1 or type 2, what do you have? You have a P wave, but who is dropped? QRS. But here P wave is dropped. Let's see the ECG once more. What happened? P wave, QRS, this is T wave. I think I know where you got confused. You thought that this is P wave and QRS is dropped, you thought. No, but this is the QRS के बाद आने वाला P wave है. And it is the P wave and also QRS, both of them got dropped suddenly. Hence that becomes a sinus exit block is what you have to basically remember. So look at this ECG, what is the conduction abnormality that you are having? This is an example of second degree heart block of type 1. How do you recognize type 1? If you look at the PR interval, P wave to QRS. Sequentially, P wave to QRS distances had been increasing and suddenly there is a drop where QRS is not visible. For a period of time, sequential prolongation होने के बाद. So that is the reason it is called Mobitz type 1 second degree heart block. Then what is the conduction abnormality over here? Here what is there? Only PR interval is prolonged. If you take P wave, QRS complex, the distance between them, the PR interval is there, no? That is only prolonged. Then that is basically called, there is no drops happening here. So that is the reason it is called first degree AV block. So what is the normal PR interval? 0.122 to 0.2 seconds is called normal PR interval. Right? So if it is increased more than 0.2, so normal PR interval should be how much? How many small blocks? 0.12 means 0.04 is one small block, so 3 small blocks. 0.2 means 5 small blocks, so 3 to 5 small blocks is fine. But if you take the PR interval here, it is more than, PR interval is the beginning of P to beginning of QRS or end of the P to beginning of QRS? Come on, doctor. If it is from the end of the P to beginning of the QRS, you have only one isoelectric segment. You don't call it interval. Only if you have from the beginning of the P wave, then P wave is also included. समझ में आया या नहीं है? नहीं है. P wave, QRS, doctor. So beginning of the P to beginning of QRS, then you are including P wave along with PR segment. But if you say end of P wave to beginning of QRS, then what is there? Only a segment. This is not called interval. When do you call interval? If you include a wave into that, you call it as interval. Otherwise you call isoelectric segment. Okay. So beginning of P wave to beginning of QRS normally should be how much? Come on, you are all keeping a silent face. You want me to ask questions and also tell answers. 0.04 seconds is one small block, doctor. So 0.1 to 0.2 is the normal interval of PR interval. Right? Don't tell I want to become a gynecologist. Why all these things for me? For you to get MD gynecology obstetrics, you need to know few things. So 0.12 is how many 0.04s? 3. So normal PR interval is 3 small boxes, at most 5 small boxes. If it is more than 5 small boxes, that is called prolonged PR interval, which is the only thing that you see if there is a what? First degree heart block. Right, doctor? Yeah. Very good, very good. The next question Annu is asking, sir, VT-VF के बीच में फर्क भी नहीं मालूम हो कि हम यहाँ बैठा हुआ नहीं, हमको वो मालूम है. VT, SVT, what is the difference? हाँ, अभी धंधे की बात करेंगे. VT and SVT, how to differentiate is a frequently asked question. You go to AIMS, PGI, any exam they will ask. There are 3-4 differences. Okay, I'll come to that. One of the questions. One simple thing, SVT is narrow QRS complex, VT is broad. Number 2, AV dissociation, if it is there or not, you see. If AV dissociation, what is the meaning of AV dissociation? Normally after P wave you should get QRS. If P wave is going to its own parties, QRS is sleeping with its own boyfriends, then P के बाद QRS नहीं आ रहे, P अपने आप चल रहे, QRS अपने आप चल रहे. So if you find QRS complexes not preceded by P waves and P waves not followed by QRS complexes in the ECG rhythm strip in the lead 2, then you should think of AV dissociation. And sometimes what will happen if there is a AV dissociation? We get a fusion beats. What is the meaning of fusion beats? SA node is like this, doctor, AV node is like this, and ventricle is supposed to receive from SA node to AV node to ventricle. But if there is any ventricular tachycardia, what has happened? Ventricle has its own pacemaker, own boyfriend, who is sending gifts, and her hubby is also sending gifts. उसने एक मर्सिडीज भिजाया है, इसने एक BMW भिजाया, दोनों एक ही बार घर को आ गया तो क्या हो जाता? द बोथ विल फ्यूज विथ ईच अदर. So such a QRS complex which is generated when there is a VT will be a abnormally shaped QRS instead of the normal QRS that you find. So you are finding lot of QRS complexes, suddenly one abnormal shaped one is appearing in the middle. That means that is called a fusion beat. Fusion beat will occur if at all it is a VT or SVT? VT. So presence of fusion beats, presence of AV dissociation, presence of a wide QRS complex, they are all the indication of VT is what you have to basically remember.